What's up, guys? Today I'm gonna talk about the Lizzie Borden case. Let's just get right into the video. Lizzie's early life. Lizzie Andrew Borden, that is her full name. She was born on the 19th of July in 1860. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. And she was raised in Fall River. Her mom's name was Sarah Anthony Borden, and her father's name was Andrew Jackson Borden. Lizzie also had an older sister. Her name was Emma Lenora Borden. There's like a lot of names in like this thing. I'm not very good at names, so it's gonna be interesting. Lizzie's father struggled financially when he was a young adult, I think. Young man, young adult, same thing, I think. He eventually started selling, manufacture and sale of furniture and caskets. He became a successful property developer. Andrew Borden was also the president of the Union Saving Banks and a director of the Durfee Safe Deposit and Trust Co. And at the time that Andrew Borden was murdered, his estate would be valued at $3,000, which in 2020 would be $10 million. Lizzie and her sister Emma would have a relatively religious upbringing. As a young woman, Lizzie would be involved in church activities. She would teach Sunday school to children of recent immigrants to the United States. She would also be involved in religious organizations. Her mother, Sarah Anthony Borden, would pass away in 1863. At the time Lizzie was 3 years old. Her father would get remarried to Abby Durfee Gray 3 years after her mother's passing. Lizzie would call her mother Miss Borden. Lizzie also believed that her stepmother, Abby, only married her father for the money, for his wealth, because he was wealthy at the time. Bridget Civilian is the Borden's live-in maid. She was an immigrant to the U.S. from Ireland. She was at the time 25 years old. They would call her Maggie in the Borden's residence. Bridget would say that Emma and Lizzie would rarely eat meals with their parents. In May of 1892, Andrew Borden would kill multiple pigeons with a hatchet, believing they were attracting local children to hunt them. Lizzie had recently built a roost for the pigeons, and it has been said she was upset over the killing of the pigeons. This is the note, because notes to the sideline. Author Sarah Miller states in her 2016 book, The Borden Murders, that the account of Lizzie being profoundly upset over the death of the pigeons is unfounded and has become a part of the myths surrounding Lizzie. So it has never been clarified that she was actually upset over the killing of them, but it has been talked about that she may have been upset. A family argument in July of 1892 prompted both sisters to take extended vacations. After returning to Fall River, a week before the murders, Lizzie would choose to stay in a local rooming house for 4 days before returning to the Borden residence. Tension in the household of the Borden's household had been growing over the past few months leading up to the murder, especially over Andrew's gifts and Lizzie's and Emma's father, gifts of real estates to various members of Abby's family, Lizzie's stepmother. After the stepmother's sisters received the house, the sister demanded and received a rental property, the home they had lived in until their mother died, which they purchased from their father for $1. A few weeks before the murders, they sold the property back to their father for $5,000, which in 2024 would be $170,000. The night before the murders, John Wickerman Morse, I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that right, Lizzie and Emma's uncle visited and was invited to stay for a few days to discuss business matters with Andrew, leading to speculations that the conversation that Andrew Borden and John Morse had might have, particularly about particularly about property transfer, may have already made some tense situation in the household. They may have gotten a little tense after that. For several days before the murder, the whole entire household had been violently ill. A family friend said it might have been something left out. I don't really remember what. Abby had feared that it was food poisoning, given that Andrew Borden wasn't a very popular man in the area they lived in. Murders of Andrew Borden and Abby. Thursday, August 4th, 1892. John Morse, Lizzie and Emma's uncle, arrived in the evening of August 3rd and slept in the guest room that night. After breakfast the next morning, at which Andrew, Abby, John, and Bridget were present, Andrew and John went to the sitting room, which I'm pretty sure is the living room, but I think they called it the sitting room, where they chatted for nearly an hour. John left the house around 8:84 a.m. to buy a pair of oxen and visit his niece in Fall River, planning to return to Borden home for lunch at noon. Andrew left for his morning walk sometime around 9 a.m. Although the cleaning of the guest room was a chore that Lizzie and Emma had, Abby decided to go upstairs between 9 a.m. and 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. to make the bed. According to the investigation, Abby was facing her killer at the time of her attack. She was first struck in the side of her head with a hatchet, which caught her just above the ear, causing her to fall and causing her to turn and fall and face down on the floor. The killer struck her multiple times, delivering 17 more direct hits to the back of her head, killing her. When Andrew returned at around 10:30 a.m., his key failed to open the door, so he knocked. Bridget went to unlock the door, finding the jam. Bridget would testify that she heard Lizzie from the top of the stairs laughing, but Bridget would not see. Lizzie on the top of the stairs. This was considered significant because at this time Abby would already be dead, and if you were at the top of the stairs you would have been able to see her body. Lizzie denied being at the top of the stairs, and she testified that her father had asked where Abby was, which she had replied that a messenger had come and asked Abby to visit a sick friend. Bridget said that when Andrew got home, she would have removed his boots and helped him get into the slippers, before he lay down on the sofa for a nap. A detail found not true by the crime scene photos, which shows Andrew's wearing boots. So that has not happened, because he was in fact still wearing boots when he was laying on the couch after being murdered. so that is not true. Bridget also testified that she was in her third floor room, resting from cleaning windows. Just before 11 a.m., she heard Lizzie call from downstairs, "Maggie, come quick! Father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him." Andrew was slumped on the couch in the downstairs sitting room, which I think is living room. Struck 10 or 11 times with a hatchet-like weapon. One of his eyes had been split cleanly in two, suggesting that he had been asleep when attacked. His still bleeding wound suggested a very recent attack. Dr. Brown, the family's doctor, arrived from his home across the street, pronounced both victims dead. Detectives estimated that Andrew's death had occurred at approximately 11 a.m. The investigation. Lizzie's answers to the police were sometimes strange. Initially, she reported hearing a groan or scraping noise or a distress call before entering the house. 2 hours later, she told police that she had heard nothing and entered the house, not really realizing anything was wrong. When Lizzie was asked what her stepmother was, she had recounted that Abby had received a note asking her to visit a sick friend. She also stated that she thought Abby might have returned, so she asked someone if they would go upstairs and look for her. Bridget and a neighbor, Miss Churchill, I am 100% not pronouncing that right, were halfway up the stairs. Their eyes level with the floor when they looked into the guest room and saw Abby laying face down on the floor. Most officers that interviewed Lizzie reported that they disliked her attitude. It was too calm from her parents just being murdered. Besides the fact that she was behaving weird and changing her alibi, she was not checked for blood stains. Police did search Lizzie's room, but at the trials they admitted they didn't search thoroughly because Lizzie was not feeling well. In the basement, the police found 2 hatchets and 2 axes and a hatchet head with a broken handle. The hatchet head was suspected of being the murder weapon, as the break in the handle appeared fresh and there was no ash and dust on the head, unlike that on the other bladed tools appeared to have been deliberately peeled to make it look as if they had been in the basement for some time. However, none of these tools were removed from the house, so they were just left in the basement. Because of the mysterious illness that the whole family had faced a week up, before the murders, the family's milk and the victim's stomachs were tested for poisoning, but there was no poisoning found. Residents suspected Lizzie of purchasing hyaluronic acid in a diluted form from the local druggist. So Lizzie and Emma's friend, Alice Russell, decided to stay with the sisters the night following the murders, while John spent the night in the attic guest room, contrary to the later accounts that he slept in the murder site guest room. Police were stationed around the house outside on the night of August 4th, during which an officer said he had seen Lizzie enter the cellar with Alice carrying a lamp and a slop pile. He saw both women exit the cellar, though Lizzie would return alone. He wasn't sure he couldn't exactly see what she was doing, but it looked like she was hunched over the sink. August 5th, John left the Borden residence and was mobbed by hundreds of people. The police had to escort him back to the house. The following day, the police would do a more thorough search of the house, inspecting the sisters' clothing, and confiscating the broken-handled hatchet head. That evening, a police officer and the mayor visited the Borden vicinity and informed Lizzie she was a suspect in the murders of Andrew Borden and Abby. The next morning, Alice would enter the kitchen and find Lizzie tearing up a dress. Lizzie would explain that she was planning to put it on the fire because it was covered in paint. It was never determined whether it was the dress she had been wearing on the day of the murders or if there actually just was paint on it. Inquest. Lizzie appeared at the inquest hearing on August 8th. The request to have a family's attorney present was refused under a state statute providing that an inquest must be held in private. She was prescribed regular doses of morphine to calm her nerves, and it is possible that her testimony was affected by this. Her behavior at the hearing was erratic, and she often refused to answer questions, even if it would do her good. Lizzie would often change her alibi of the morning of the murders, then saying she was in the dining room doing some ironing, and then saying she was coming down the stairs. She would change it. The district attorney was very aggressive and confrontable. On August 11th, Lizzie was served with a warrant of arrest and jailed. Trial. Lizzie's trial took place in New Bedford starting on June 5th, 1893, which is almost a year after almost a year after the murder took place, I'm pretty sure. 5 days before the trial starts on June 1st, another axe murder occurred in the Fall River. This time victim was Bertha Manchester, who was found hacked to death in her kitchen. The similarities between the Manchester and Borden murders were striking and noted by jurors. Jose Coa de Melo, a Portuguese immigrant, was later convicted of the Manchester murder in 1894 and was determined not to have been in the vicinity and was determined not to be in the area of Fall River at the time of the Borden murders. So those murders were not connected. No body clothing was found at the scene of the murder in the Borden residence. Alice had testified that on August 8th, 1892, she had witnessed Lizzie tearing up that dress and burning it because she said she had brushed against a not yet dry paint wall. During the course of the trial, the defense was never attempted to channel the statement. Lizzie's presence at the home was also a point of dispute during the trial. According to testimony, Bridget entered the second floor at around 10:48 a.m. and left Lizzie and her father downstairs. Lizzie had told several people that she went into the barn and was not in the house for 20 or possibly half an hour. Truman Lubinsky testified to the defense that he saw Lizzie leaving the barn at 11:03 a.m. and Charles Grander confirmed the time. At 11:10 a.m., Lizzie called Bridget downstairs, told her Andrew had been murdered and ordered her not to enter the room. Instead, Lizzie sent her to go get a doctor. Both victims' heads had been removed during an autopsy, and skulls were admitted as evidence during the trial presented on June 5th, 1893. Upon seeing them in the courtroom, Lizzie fainted. There was some evidence excluded that she had sought to purchase hydrogen cyanide properly for cleaning a sealskin cloak from the local druggist on the day before the murders. The judge ruled that an incident was too remote in time to have any connection. After an hour and a half of deliberating, the jury ruled Lizzie Andrew Borden not guilty of the murders. Upon exiting the courthouse, she told reporters that she was the happiest woman in the world. These are some furious myths about who maybe did kill them. Lizzie Borden, although ruled not guilty at the trial, Lizzie remained the prime suspect in her father's and stepmother's murders. Writer Victoria Lincoln proposed in 1967 that she might have committed the murders while in a fugue stage. Another prompted suggestion that was that she was physically and sexually abused by her father, which drove her to kill him. There is little to no evidence to support this, but sexual relationship is not a topic that would have been discussed at the time, and the method for collecting physical evidence would have been quite different in 1892. Mystery author Evan Hunter, in his 1984 novel Lizzie, suggests oh my god. So good. Proposed that Lizzie committed the murders after being caught in a fist with Bridget. Evan Hunter elaborated on this speculation in a 1999 interview, speculating that Abby had caught the two together and had reacted with horror and disgust, and that Lizzie had killed Abby with a candlestick. Lizzie made a confession to Andrew when he returned home, but killed him in rage with a hatchet when he reacted exactly the same as Abby had. His future speculated that Bridget disposed of the hatchet somewhere afterwards. In her later years, Lizzie was rumored to be a lesbian, but there was no such speculation about Bridget, who later married a man she met while working as a maid in Butte. I did not pronounce that right. Bridget died in Butte in 1948. Allegedly, Bridget gave a deathbed confession to her sister, which she stated that she had changed her testimony on the stand in order to protect Lizzie. John Morse. Another significant suspect is John Morse. Lizzie's uncle, who rarely met with the family after his sister died, but had slept in the house the night before the murders. According to law enforcement, he had provided an absolutely perfect and over-detailed alibi for the death of Abby Borden. John was considered a suspect by the police for a period of time, but was eventually ruled out. William Borden. A man named William Borden, suspected to be Andrew's illegitimate, I have no idea what that means, Andrew's son, was noted as a possible suspect by author Arnold Brown, who summarized that William had tried and failed to extort money from his alleged father. The author Leonard Riabello, after extensive research on William, proved that he was not the son of Andrew Borden. Emma Borden. Although Emma had an alibi at Fairhaven, about 15 miles, 24 kilometers from Fall River, crime writer Frank Spearing proposed in his 1984 book, Lizzie, that she might have secretly visited the residence, killed her parents before returning to Fairhaven in time to receive the news of the murder. Later life. After the trial, the Borden sisters moved into a large modern house in the Hill neighborhood in Fall River. Around this time, Lizzie began using the name Lisbeth Elizabeth A. Borden. At the new house, they have staff including live-in mates, a housekeeper, and a coachman. As Abby was ruled to have died before Andrew, her estate went first to Andrew, and then at his death passed to his daughter as a part of his estate. A considerable settlement, however, was paid to settle claims by Abby's family. In 1905, shortly after an argument over a party Lizzie had given for actress Nance O'Neill, Emma had moved out of the house and never saw her sister again. So that must have been a pretty heavy argument for her to move out and never talk to her sister again. Whoa. Death. Lizzie was ill in her last year following the removal of her bladder. He died of pneumonia. She died of a sickness on June 1st, 1927 in Fall River at age 66. Funeral details were not published, and a few attended the funeral. 9 days later, Emma died from chronic nephrolosis in a nursing home in Newmark, New Hampshire. Having moved to this location in 1923, both for health reasons and to avoid renewed attention following the publication of another book about the murderers. The Borden sisters, neither of whom had ever married, were buried side by side in the family plot in Oak Grove Cemetery. At the time of her death, Lizzie was worth over $250,000, which in 2023 is $5 million. She left $30,000, equivalent to $700,000 in 2023 to the Fall River Animal Rescue League. That is everything from this video. If you like the video, please like. And if you want, you can give your opinion in the comments. What do you think? Who you think murdered Abby and Andrew Borden? Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!